What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the ending of Guardians of the Galaxy, the game. So this is going to contain spoilers, but I just want to talk about it and talk about just an impression I have on it, my kind of reaction to it, and how I think it's a near perfect. I don't say it as if I'm going to fill in the gaps of what would make it actually perfect. I do think it's a near perfect ending in a game, and really for this game, what kind of solidified it to me as just this is special. Like throughout the game, it's like, okay, there's all the signs here of this game being very, very good, and I always liked the game, throughout the entire thing. But really, when you get to that last little portion of the game, you realize, holy Jesus, like, they really, not only did they set up everything, but they actually gave us some really good conclusions. So I want to talk about a couple different aspects of it that really shocked me. So the first thing I want to look at is the cutscene between Star-Lord, Kal-El, and then also Nikki, and just talk about it just a little bit, because it's a phenomenal cutscene and a long one, honestly, in terms of, and also like in terms of what's happening, kind of dull, but for a good reason. So, going through basically the same thing you did earlier in the game, I actually don't mind it at all. Like doing similar things, but obviously he's trying to convince her, right? Like, okay, this is not right. This is not real. This is not the real thing. And then kind of going through also with Kal-El, where it's like, you need to accept it too. Like this entire time, like, you've been focusing on her, but you also have still been kind of thinking like, I'm here and maybe you'll get me back, maybe you won't, or maybe I'll come back alive. And it's like, you need to firstly drop that immediately, and secondly, really have a heart-to-heart with her on, what's going on here, and that there's a way out and there's a better way. And I think they've played it perfectly. And again, it's really all it is two characters talking to each other. So I think it's phenomenal the amount of emotion they played off of that specific scene. And then also when, Star-Lord is talking to Nikki and they're just having that, kind of heart to heart, and she just, all she wants is for her mom to kind of, come through those doors and to do this kind of stuff. But that cutscene, I remember just sitting there watching, I looked to my wife after and I was like, this game's amazing. Like that cutscene to me really solidified, like they did it. You know what I mean? They set it all up. They knew they had emotion that they can play with, and they did it really well throughout the entire game. And then they had that kind of closing act. So I thought that was absolutely phenomenal. Then you, of course, have, the final boss fight, or what you think is the final boss fight. And again, perfectly fine. Really nothing, not too much to say about it, because I do want to just focus on what makes it so special. So you have that. You have some sort of closure to what you'd see as, the main villain, the grand unifier of the game. And then you get the fake out ending. Now, to me, this is a completely inspired from Batman Arkham, in my opinion. Now, I'm sure there has been other games that have faked people out. I'm sure I've probably even played games where there's an ending, but then the ending kind of gets cut short and you keep going. But I can't think of any right now. But to me, the first thing that popped in my head was this is similar to Arkham Asylum when Scarecrow's messing with you and your system literally shuts down. And I actually, and I've said this story before on the channel, I fell for that the very first time, and I was reaching for my PS3 to restart it when the game, like I was about to restart my PlayStation, the game caught me, or I caught the game or whatever, just in time. Like what my hand was probably within like a foot or two from hitting the button to restart the PS3. So that got me. And this one got me too. Obviously they're having the conversation with Adam Warlock, and you're like, okay, well maybe something's going on, and maybe they're just kind of ending it on some sort of gag, you know what I mean? And, obviously that's not what actually happens. The game rolls some of the credits, but very, very few. And then you get into, another thing with the game. It's like, Jesus. And I at the time, I did not expect it. I would have been completely fine with that first ending, kind of waving goodbye, saying goodbye to everybody, by the way. I'm not exactly a big fan of them walking down like the strip, like doing their dance moves or like fist pumps. Like that was kind of cheesy and stupid, but I liked the idea of saying goodbye to everybody. You know what I mean? I actually really, really like that. And so you have that, and I would have been okay if that was that, and then the little talk, on the Milano. I would have been fine if that was it. But then you have, obviously the fight with Adam Warlock, which I think was, again, very, very well played out. The boss fight maybe was nothing special in it of itself, but the idea of making it more of an interaction with the Guardians, which, by the way, I do think So the rest of the game was kind of lacking that. Well, I liked the scope of the boss fights, and I liked that it was a little bit different than just the generic kind of like wave, fights that the game gave you. The boss fights were nothing massively crazy in terms of like special in the game, but I actually think the ending played it really, really well. That you'd have a couple waves of your fight, but the point is, them versus him in terms of like speech, in terms of like getting him, kind of outwitting him through just them being kind of unique people. You know what I mean? So I really liked that. And I actually think that's what some of the other ones were missing. And so then you had that, and then you had your ending scene and all, and then you technically even had another after credit scene where you're talking about how you're gonna do this, with having yourself be more of a father figure and having everybody pitch in. So I just think, really, each step of it never really, in fact, actually, as I was about to say, it never felt like it was one of those things like in a movie where it like has 5 different endings and you're just like, okay, can we finally be done now? The sense of like wanting it to end. The interesting thing is this game actually did have multiple segments where you maybe could have fallen into that trap, but what they did so interestingly well is the opposite. For me, every time they gave me an additional thing, I wanted it to keep going, which to me is that's how you want a game to end. You know what I mean? Where it's like, no, I actually want more, not in a way where, well, I want more because the game didn't give me anything, but no, the game gave me so much, and I'm so into it that I don't want it to end. And that's the feeling this game gave me because, again, it hits you with some very emotional and powerful cutscenes, gives you the boss fight, which is actually very unique and cool with the Grand Unifier. You get your ending, you get to say goodbye to everybody, and I kind of just wanted them to keep talking, specifically when they're talking with each other, on the ship. I was like, I could sit here and watch this cutscene keep going. Like, I actually want that because I don't want to say goodbye to the Guardians just yet. And then when you have the credits and you have it come back, and it's like, oh my God, you get a little bit more. And then you have a lot more dialogue and a lot more conversation. And again, like, you could fall into the trap where it's like, all right, I've had enough. I don't want to see anymore. Just end the game. Like, you already ended it once. Why you're doing like a second ending? Just stop it. But again, to me, it was the reverse effect where, when they beat Warlock, and then they were talking about, what they're going to do with the stone, I was like, I could watch them banter with each other forever. I don't want it to stop. And then even the I was hoping for kind of a mid-credit, after-credit thing. I was kind of hoping for something that would set up like the next game. We didn't really get that. We kind of just got an open possibility. Like the game, they can really go anywhere from this. But even that was like sweet. Like I get to hear them talk kind of one more time. So, again, nothing too special in this video, but just kind of me gushing about the game, because while I really liked the game overall, that last hour probably sold it to me on this is why the game is tied, is close, is whatever, to my game of the year. Specifically because of that, the very emotional, kind of just heart-to-heart, father-daughter, even though they're really not, right? But father-daughter kind of talk, that was incredible. And then from that moment, that cutscene on, I think the game was literally running at a 10 out of 10 pace that entire time. And before then, it was doing a very high pace too, but they took it to a different level for that last little section. So let me know what you guys thought about the ending in the comments below. Let me know where you guys think the games can go in the future, if you guys want me to talk about that. I know I saw a couple people ask me, so if I get enough people ask me for it, I can definitely make videos talking about what I want to see from a potential sequel, stuff like that. So let me know what you guys want in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed, bell icon turned on. If you want to follow me on Twitter or subscribe to my second channel or support us on Patreon or YouTube memberships, links for all of them are in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.